America is insolvent, meaning they can't pay their debts. But let me get this straight. People are struggling, prices are going up, but billions are still being poured into war with Iran. And now some people are even saying America is going broke. This is why Americans' reaction got me because the way they responded, this wasn't just funny, it was too real.
How the fuck did that happen? Hell no, y'all peep this shit. Let me tell y'all how great America is right now. Make long story short, America is broke as hell, broke as fuck, broke as shit, to a motherfucking point. The Treasury have just announced this magnificent fucking bombshell stating that America is insolvent. Let me say this one more time to the people in the back chat. They said, and I quote, America is insolvent. So with that being said, we are so damn in debt, so damn close to looking like bankruptcy is our middle motherfucking name. To a fucking point. Bitch, we are insolvent. And then we are in the middle of a motherfucking war. Let's not forget, gas prices are rose the fuck up. Then they gave us these weak ass fucking gas. And on top of that shit, did y'all realize that the grocery prices is rising the fuck up too? Oh, okay, that's cool. So with that being said, to all y'all motherfuckers that said, make America great again, we're the best country in the world. We're the best country. Are we great yet? Are we great yet, or am I chipping out again? Are we great yet, or not? Am I chipping out again? Oh, I think I'm chipping out again, right?
He bankrupted the country in 14 months. The U.S. Treasury has now confirmed that the United States is insolvent. So in 14 months, he took a profitable country that was standing on its own 2 feet and made it so dependent on everybody else, but yet nobody's coming to his aid. So the $1 billion a day to fight a war that he wedged his fat ass in the middle of because of his buddies over in the blue country is costing the taxpayers $1 billion a day that we don't have. We couldn't afford health care for the people of this country, but yet we have $1 billion a day to go to a war that nobody wanted. We couldn't afford to give kids free lunch in schools, but yet we have $1 billion a day to fight a war that's not actually going to profit or benefit the United States in any way. And that's exactly what he's done. He has bankrupted 6 companies. He has bankrupted 3 casinos, and he has caused harm and chaos in every single adventure that he's ever taken, and he always goes bankrupt and then leaves everybody else to pay his tab. And that's exactly what he's doing right now, because while we're all sitting here wondering how we're going to pay our rent, our electric, and our food all in the same month because we can't live off of our paychecks anymore because we don't make enough anymore, he's sitting there cashing checks that our asses have to cash. And I know that I could be bottom, but it doesn't mean that I want the whole world to be taking a piece of it.
America is insolvent, and the people who will feel it first are the ones who voted for this. And in case you don't know what insolvent means, baby, I'll put it here on the screen for you. It means bankrupt, unable to pay its debt. And that's right, by America's own treasury numbers, we in fact are insolvent. $47 trillion in liabilities, $6 trillion in assets. And I want to talk about exactly who that's going to affect first, because the answer just might shock you. Now, according to Pew Research, 67% of the people that voted for Trump do not have a college degree. According to Brookings Institution, 66% of white working class Americans backed Trump in 2024. And the Economics Innovation Group, baby, they found that the more economically stressed a county was, the more it swung Trump's way. Are we surprised? The man said he loves the poorly educated. So yeah, the people that were already hurting the most voted for this. This would make the United States of America his 7th bankruptcy, his 7th failed business venture. Failed for everybody else, not him. Because he's made how much since being president? Now, please understand, this is not going to affect billionaires, hedge funds, trust funds. Now, please understand, this will not affect the billionaires. This will not affect Wall Street, hedge funds, none of that. But it most certainly will affect working class Americans. Social Security, baby, that trust is set to deplete in 2032. That is only 6 years away. And when that trust depletes, federal law mandates a 28% cut to Social Security benefits. That means some of y'all, Meemaw and Papaw, ain't gonna be getting their Social Security checks. You know who else depends on Social Security? People who don't have pensions, people who don't have 401ks, people who spent 40-something years depending on that money, and now the government's gonna be telling you, sorry. The people who have spent 40-something years putting into that system, working every goddamn day of their lives, and the government is going to cut those benefits you've been depending on for your older times of your life. And then, honey, you got Medicare. The Medicare fund has similar projections to the Social Security fund. People who cannot afford private health insurance depend on Medicare. Medicaid cuts are already on the table in the one big beautiful bill. The same bill that adds $4.7 trillion to the debt. A debt of a country that's already insolvent. Bankrupt, bitch. So, Black, brown, indigenous communities, we've been here before. We know what it is to live within a system and have to survive a system that was not built to benefit you. We know what it is to make $50 stretch to feed a family of 6. We know what it is to work multiple jobs and have to figure out how you're going to pay each bill by doing odd jobs on the side or taking up a side hustle or two while maintaining your 9 to 5. Because here's where y'all should be real concerned. The people who are about to feel this for the first time do not have the same survival skills. Because for decades, they have been told that this system works for them, benefits them, that their Social Security was secure and that Medicare was guaranteed, that those manufacturing jobs were coming back and that this country was going to be great again. America is insolvent, and the people who are going to feel it are the same people who voted for exactly this. Some even 3 times. And we knew it was coming. We've always known it was coming because it always has been coming for us. But we warned you it was coming for you, so don't act shocked and surprised now. Y'all's debt is due.
Oh no, America is now bankrupt. What has President Trump done? It only took President Trump 1.5 years to bankrupt the United States of America. Whatever will we do? That is the way Democrats want you to think. Did you all really think that everyone that crossed the border could receive all of this free crap and there wouldn't be a consequence for it? Free phones, free housing, money for food. Free, free, free. Now you're learning that nothing is free. Articles in the news have labeled the U.S. insolvent, not the U.S. Treasury. The Treasury Department did not explicitly use the word insolvent in their public declaration. But they need to fearmonger. They need you terrified that the United States is bankrupt. It's noise, folks. They're just trying to make a lot of noise. Go look into it for yourself. Don't fall victim to their rhetoric. You all have a wonderful Friday. God bless you.
60% of the American public is about to lose everything they have. People living paycheck to paycheck are about to go broke. The GDP numbers came in yesterday, and of course the economy receded, which I predicted 2 months ago, and people laughed. Mark my words, the second quarter is going to be far worse. Tariffs on Chinese products at 145% are about to kick in, which means everything you buy from China on Amazon or elsewhere is about to go through the roof. Grocery store shelves are starting to empty at Walmarts across the country, and of course grocery prices continue to soar. People who've been financing groceries on credit are starting to default on those payments. We are about to see an economic catastrophe. If you're in this 60% that has little or no money, please stop spending money. Protect your family. Trump does not care about you. Even if you voted for him, he's a billionaire. He won't suffer, but you...
The US is insolvent, which is nerd talk for we're broke. Or at least broke on paper. The Treasury's 2025 report shows about $6.1 trillion in assets and roughly $47.8 trillion in liabilities, leaving the government with a negative net position of about $41.7 trillion. Now, before people say America is finished, here's the catch. The US government is not a normal company or household. It can still tax, borrow, and operate inside a monetary system it controls. So this is not insolvency like a business going bankrupt overnight. Even Treasury calls it an unsustainable fiscal path, not an instant collapse. But the ramifications are still serious. More debt means higher interest costs, more pressure on the dollar, more fights over taxes and benefits, and less room to handle the next recession, war, or emergency. And if markets start thinking Washington has no real plan, borrowing gets more expensive, and the whole system gets shakier. Then there's the part that should make people even less comfortable. GAO again refused to give the federal government a clean audit opinion, citing major long-running weaknesses, including Defensive Department accounting problems and trouble tracking transactions across agencies. So not only is the balance sheet ugly, the books are still not clean enough for a standard opinion. So what do you think? Is this a warning sign that Washington pushed the country way too far, or does broke mean something different than what it means for you and I?
Well, it's official. The United States is bankrupt. It's insolvent. And this is not according to some wild-eyed left-wing liberal think tank. This is from the Department of the Treasury. The United States has assets of about $6 trillion. It has liabilities of almost $46 trillion. The debt is expected to reach $40 trillion by the end of this year. Just paying the interest on that debt will eat up 16% of federal spending. In 10 years, that number is expected to grow to 26%. That's more than Medicare, that's more than Social Security, that's more than the Pentagon. One of President Donald J. Ponzi's campaign promises was to do something about the debt, to begin paying down the debt. That was the whole point of Doge, to eliminate government fraud, waste, and abuse, so that he could save enough money to start paying down the debt. I suppose that promise has gone the way of lower prices on day one and no more foreign wars. He hasn't allocated one nickel for paying down the debt, and in fact has increased the debt by at least $5 trillion. While the Republicans and the MAGAs complain about illegal immigrants and drag queens, the most dire threat facing this country is the debt. President Ponzi is not only not doing anything about the debt, he's actually exacerbating it. President Ponzi is not fit for his job, and by his own definition, people who are not fit for their jobs deserve to be fired. President Ponzi, do the country a favor. Show yourself to the door. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
So I don't know if you've seen it, but the U.S. Treasury Department has just said that the United States is insolvent. Now, a lot of people may not understand what this means, but it means a lot. That means that if, for example, you and I were a company, or as human beings, or as entities, nonprofit organizations, if you don't have the resources to cover the expenses that you have, that means that there is a higher likelihood of bankruptcy. And the United States has obligations, specifically Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare, rather, Medicare, not Medicaid. The United States has obligations that it has to pay for. And if it is insolvent, that means that there is a greater likelihood that they won't be able to meet the expenses or the things that they have to do. And that's just like if you don't have money to cover your utilities are shut off. And for the United States in particular, that means that people may not have access to health care, or the funds that they put in, they're not going to be able to get out. This is horrible. This is a challenge. And the Republicans, not anyone else, the Republicans are responsible for this.
Well, of course we're fucking insolvent. What did you expect? He's run everything into the ground. He really believes there's an unlimited money supply. The largest drivers were a $2 trillion increase in federal debt and interest payable, now $30.33 trillion, and a $438.8 billion increase in federal employee and veteran benefits payable, now $15.47 trillion. He's going to completely destroy our finances. They were already living on borrowed time, and now it's going to just go boom.
Welcome to Brazil. Read what happened to
The U.S. economy is in big trouble. Let's talk about bankruptcies. Wow, wow, wow. In the first half of 2026, the first quarter, January, February, March 2026, bankruptcies skyrocketed 14%. 131,573 personal bankruptcies, commercial bankruptcies, 8,436. Chapter 7 bankruptcy rose 17%. Chapter 13 bankruptcy went up 8%. And the worst of all, ready for this? Chapter small business bankruptcies went up 67%. If you didn't know, small business is 98% of business in the USA. It's not large businesses. Small business makes up 98% of the US economy. We are in an economic crisis. The economy is collapsing every single day. This is 100% self-inflicted, and it's done by one man. Now, this all started to happen before the Iran war. This is going to be catastrophic for the USA.
No one seems to be talking about the fact that the Treasury Department just declared that the U.S. is insolvent, and we really should be. If you're unclear about what that means, insolvent describes when a person or organization is unable to pay their outstanding debts as they fall due, or when their liabilities exceed their total assets, which is what is happening here. The U.S. Treasury's latest financial statements show the federal government is insolvent, with liabilities nearly 8 times its assets and a widening fiscal gap. The report reveals $47.78 trillion in official liabilities, and that's excluding the $88.4 trillion in unfunded Social Security and Medicare obligations. If this was an individual, they'd file for bankruptcy, but this isn't an individual. This is a whole ass country. Despite the fact we're insolvent with liabilities 8 times greater than our assets, despite the fact that most Americans can't even fantasize about owning a home because they're struggling to just buy groceries or pay for gasoline. Despite all of that, Trump wants $200 billion more for the war in Iran. Same war that is contributing to those high gas prices, by the way. Are we great again yet? Because it almost feels like this businessman is running the country like so many of his businesses that he literally bled dry and ran into the ground. That guy managed to bankrupt 3 casinos, a business that normally just prints money and he couldn't make them work. So if you're shocked by what he's doing to our economy, I think you haven't been paying attention.
What the fuck are we doing?
And think about everything we just watched. It stopped being just a funny reaction because, yeah, the laughter is there, the jokes are there, but underneath all of that, there is a real question people are starting to ask more openly. What is really going on with our priorities? Now, let's be responsible with the fact that America has officially been declared insolvent. That's important to say clearly. But what is real is the pressure people are feeling every single day. The cost of living is rising. People are working hard, but feeling is not enough. And this exactly is also affecting most African countries today. And at the same time, we're seeing billions of dollars and major resources being used in conflict, especially involving tension with Iran. So naturally, people start connecting the dots. They start wondering if there is money for war, why does it feel like there is not enough for people? And that's why that reaction hits differently because it represents a kind of honesty that doesn't always make it into official conversation. Now, let's talk about the way Black Americans are reacting. It's because time to time, history has shown us that when economic pressure builds up, they often feel the weight first and hardest, not because of weakness, but because of long-standing systemic gap that still haven't been fully addressed. But now, white Americans are feeling the heat more than Black Americans. So when you see that mix of humor, disbelief, and frustration, you're not just watching entertainment, you're watching awareness in real time. And maybe that's why it resonates so much because deep down, a lot of people, regardless of background, are starting to feel the same that something isn't balancing, that priorities might not be where they should be. And regular people are the ones left trying to make sense of it all. So, this isn't just about reaction, it's about paying attention. And this video is not about promoting conflict in any way. This is strictly for educational purposes and not meant to hate or discriminate against anyone. Support real voices, support conversation that challenge what we used to hear because the more people start asking questions, the harder it becomes to ignore the answers. And let me ask this, if a country can always find money for war, but people are still struggling, what does that say about priorities? If this got you thinking, make sure you like this video, share, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell because we're not just watching what's happening, we're talking about it. See you in my next episode.